Time is up, Melania. Time for you to sit for a deposition under oath. The American people have questions about your dark past. The American people have questions about your press conference regarding Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. And when the Democrats take control of the House of Representatives after the midterms, Democratic Congressmember Garcia, who's now the ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, who will soon become the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, has made it clear that you will be one of the first people to get a subpoena, Melania. TikTok time is up, and you can send your fixer, Mark Beckman, or whatever the guy's name is around, to say how you deserve Nobel Peace Prizes, or you're going to be doing new documentaries with Amazon. Nobody cares, Melania. You are the least popular first lady in American history by far. The American people hate you, Melania. And what, you've now disappeared for 25 days, 30 days, 36 days since your last public appearance. Who the hell even knows where you are, Melania? But I do know where Natalie Harp is, Donald Trump's human printer. You know Natalie, right? She's always around Donald Trump, always printing out things with Donald Trump. Yeah, when Donald Trump believed that he was going to be hit by an Iranian missile or drone on the old Air Force One in Turkey, and Donald Trump went on that cafeteria truck on the tarmac. Guess who was there? Natalie Harp. And from all of the reporting, Melania, we hear that Natalie Harp was very worried that she wasn't going to get the invite, and she may have flipped out on Donald and said, "You better take me, Donald." Donald's like, "Oh, absolutely, Natalie. I'm going to take you." Where the hell are you, Melania? But I know where you will be soon. You will have your deposition taken. Look at these photos. Donald and Natalie, Donald and Natalie, Donald and Natalie. Many people are saying, Melania, that one of the reasons Donald really likes Natalie Harp so much is because she looks a lot like Ivanka. Didn't Donald Trump also say that, Melania, to Stormy Daniels right when you had Barron and Donald Trump was playing golf at some tournament, by the way, which he did not win because it was one of the only public tournaments he played, and he did not play very good. Then he went back to the hotel room with Stormy, and he said after, Stormy says they had sex, that she looked like Ivanka. Wasn't that the testimony of Stormy? Isn't that what Stormy said? But let's talk about your deposition, Melania, because you're going to be asked lots of questions under oath about Epstein, about Ghislaine. And I know you said at the press conference that those photos and emails with you and Ghislaine and the photos with you and Epstein, you said they're all AI. They're all fabrications. Do not believe any of it. Okay, well, we'll see when you have to testify under oath. And what? I know you're going to squirm out of it, or you're going to try to and say, "I don't want to be deposed. I'm the first lady." And guess what the Democrats are going to say? "We don't care, Melania," is what they're going to say, because guess who was deposed? Hillary Clinton. Guess who else was deposed? Bill Clinton. Guess who else was deposed? Everybody went with the Trump regime. But guess who apparently gets a pass? All of the people in Donald Trump's inner circle. That ain't gonna fly when Democrats take control of the House Oversight Committee. Here's what Democratic Congressmember Garcia said to Katie Fang. Play this clip.
You mentioned that at the top of that list is a woman by the name of Melania Trump. Why do you think it's important to make sure that a subpoena or some type of investigative vehicle is chased down to be able to talk to Melania Trump about the Epstein files?
Well, first, Republicans have set a precedent that we can subpoena and talk to first ladies and former first ladies and family members of presidents, i.e. Hunter Biden and others. And so that precedent has been laid out. The Clintons, and we've seen it happen. Second, does anyone here across the country think that the first lady doesn't have additional information?
Well, especially after that bizarre presser. But yes, I agree.
That press conference.
Yeah.
She herself wants the investigation to move forward. She made that very clear.
She made that clear.
And so we're very interested.
By the way, it wasn't a hoax. Trump wants to call it a hoax, but she didn't say it was a hoax at all.
Exactly right. And I think there's no question that we want to talk to the first lady. Melania clearly has information. There's a lot of speculation about who knew who when, who was introduced to who,
and how,
when, and how. And so I think those are valid questions. And I think that if if Melania Trump wants real justice for the survivors, then she would work with us to try to get the truth. And so that's going to be an important part of this, as is going to be talking to all those players in the Situation Room that were all planning on how they were going to exonerate Donald Trump, starting with J.D. Vance. Why is J.D. Vance leading secret meetings that nobody was supposed to find out about in the Situation Room, which is meant for national security emergencies, with Susie Wiles and Pam Bondi and Kash Patel?
Yeah.
And I mean, this seems like serious stuff, not a hoax. You don't hold Situation Room meetings for a hoax. And it was out of these meetings that they began discussing the Ghislaine Maxwell connection. That they began talking about how they're going to use Ghislaine Maxwell to somehow exonerate Donald Trump. So, look, there's a cover-up here. There's no question there's a lot more to the story. And the survivors aren't going to give up till all the files are released, and we're not either.
Look at this headline right here. Melania Trump clobbered by bombshell threat as Epstein investigators close in, experts say. And this also comes at the same time. Hat tip to Jason Leopold over at Bloomberg, who's doing great work there with his FOIA requests in connection with the Epstein files. New FBI documents released via FOIA show the Department of Justice had a document flag list when it began reviewing Epstein files last year. There are 16 entries that are simply marked President of the United States. Look at these 16 entries on the list where the reason for the flag was simply marked POTUS. Those items include magazines and newspaper articles, message pads, phone message books, and one unidentified record. You know who's going to get to the bottom of that, Melania, as well? People like Jason Leopold, but also Katie Fang from the MeidasTouch network, as she continues to aggressively push forward on her lawsuit under the Epstein Transparency Act. And federal Judge Sullivan, Melania, not too happy with Donald Trump's Department of Justice cover-up. He said, "I'm not afraid to hold all of you in contempt if you continue to violate the court's orders." So, as Melania gets nervous and she disappears, she sends out Mark Beckman. That's her fixer. That's her personal fixer guy. And he goes on all the right-wing shows and he says, this is what his announcement was with all of this going on. "It is time Melania's humanitarian work be formally recognized. She deserves the Nobel Peace Prize." This guy is not even like, you would be like, come on, Ben, is he joking around? Dude, this guy is like actually being serious that he thinks Melania deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. What in the Kim Jong-un is this? Here, play this clip.
Now, my question to you is, beyond the media, do you think that our First Lady deserves some higher level of recognition internationally because of these steps that she's taking towards peace in that region?
Well, yeah, maybe the old Nobel Peace Prize folks, since they won't give it to 47 for putting out 8 wars, maybe they'd give it to the First Lady. She doesn't have anything to do with anything he's doing politically. She's doing good stuff. So if you're listening out there, committee, maybe look at FLOTUS since you won't look at POTUS.
And then he goes on another OAN show after that one, and he's got a major teaser about Melania, her fixer. It's about arts and culture, and this is going to be really big news, but it's so super secret. And again, like, where the hell is Melania? Like, she hasn't been seen for weeks, but this is so super secret. He's teasing it until next week because, all the American people are like, what is Melania doing next? What are you doing, Melania? We are so excited to see. Please, we are just on pins and needles here about what Melania Trump's next move was. After that incredible documentary, we're like, what is she gonna do now? Here, play this clip of this guy. Here, play this clip.
Well, I have a real teaser for you. Hopefully you can have me again next week to provide more detail. But as you're aware, this First Lady has been a First Lady of firsts. 2 pieces of legislation, one that we're hoping the Senate passes, an executive order, 5 reunifications, all kinds of bold movements internationally, fostering the future together with 50 states, the United Nations. Now what we're looking to do this coming week, towards the latter part of next week in Washington, D.C., is a plop down on culture like you've never seen before. And it's going to be really exciting. No First Lady has done anything like this. And again, she'll be breaking ground in Washington, D.C. next week. I got to keep some of it from you. unfortunately, but it's going to be very eye-catching. The whole world will see it.
What a tease. All right, you're back on next week. It's done deal. So I hope you're ready.
Oh, man. And as you know, you have Iran continuing to threaten Melania. You have Melania's meme coin. It's already crashed down 99%. I want to see Democratic Congressmember Garcia also ask Melania questions about her crypto. Think about it. She sold crypto in a meme coin right around the time of Trump's inauguration, and she seemed to make a lot of money. Barron seems to have made a lot of money on crypto in general. Donald made a lot of money on crypto. I think Melania should also be asked about the Melania meme coin. I want to bring in Democratic Congressmember Garcia. This is my interview with Congressmember Garcia, where I've got questions for him about the depositions that he wants to see, who he's going to be subpoenaing. TikTok, Melania, TikTok. Here, let's bring in my interview with Garcia. Congressman Garcia, great to see you. As always, a lot to discuss. Yes, there may be a congressional recess right now. And yes, MAGA Mike Johnson may have tried to keep Congress out of session for the better part of the year, but you've been hard at work leading the oversight committee for the DEMS. And lots of people look forward to you chairing that committee after the midterms where there's subpoena power. A lot of preparation seems like behind the scenes already thinking about, that, but obviously, a lot of time, too much time from now until then. But talk to us now. What's the latest with, throw it up with Epstein, a lot of developments with Trump's cover up of the Epstein files. And of course, Katie Fang from the MeidasTouch network's been pushing hard in the courts, and you've been pushing hard with all of the resources that you have, not as much as when you get subpoena power, but talk to us what you got.
Yeah, there's a lot happening. Obviously, one, it's really important right now that Todd Blanche was disgracefully put in by the Senate, which should have never happened. This is a person that led the cover up, has continued to play attorney for Donald Trump, won't release half the files. Now it's important that he come before the committee. So we're doing a lot right now to pressure the chairman, James Comer, who promised maybe more than 10, 12 times that he would bring in Todd Blanche in front of the committee. So we're demanding that happen. So we're negotiating that right now. He's got to be in front of the committee. We're hoping it's in September. There are endless questions about the Epstein investigation that he has to answer for now, especially that he's the AG and was, quite frankly, if you talk about like Pam Bondi, she directed all of the blame to Todd Blanche when she came in front of our committee. So it's time for him to testify. So that's one thing that we're working on. We're doing a ton of work, just interviewing just survivors, talking to folks involved in the investigation. It's really been important for us to let the public know that James Comer keeps saying this investigation is going well, and we're hearing from witnesses. He doesn't put witnesses under oath, and so vast majority of these folks that are coming in to see us, and we call it out every time, he will not put them under oath. And so imagine having Epstein's lawyers and personal assistants doing interviews with them, but them not having to not being under oath and answering the questions, which is just. It's crazy, and especially when some of them are clearly not being truthfully honest with us. And so we continue to remind them that we expect to have them back when we have the power to subpoena and to put them actually under oath, which is our plan in this investigation. We've also been working on ensuring that we lay out, as soon as we win the majority, and we're going to win the majority, we're going to start having public hearings around the Epstein files. There have been 0 public hearings. 0. This is maybe one of the single largest areas of interest from the American public, especially as it relates to government corruption and investigations. And Republicans have had no public hearings, no one under oath to talk to the public directly about what's happened with the Epstein investigation. So we're planning all that out right now. And then we've got 2 big interviews and depositions coming up. One with Leon Black, who of course is one of Epstein's big financial lifelines. It gave him tons and tens of millions of dollars. Huge financial advisor. We still don't understand where all the money went. So he's coming in front of the committee under subpoena, which is important, which is very rare. And then we're going to have Alan Dershowitz, who's, will be interesting to see here in the next couple of weeks.
How do you deal with their blanket claims of privilege going forward when the Democrats take control? We already got a taste of it with Bondi, as you mentioned. She did not take the oath. She did not go on camera. But part of it that I didn't think was told a lot by corporate news, although we focused a lot on it, is she really wouldn't answer any questions. She was instructed executive privilege. You can speak about anything before 2025, they said, or before 2025 before is off limits. And then any communications at all regarding Trump, you cannot answer those questions. We saw recently the memo from Todd Blanche and the DOJ saying they want to extend executive privilege to anybody Trump deems to be an outside advisor. So he's probably going to extend that to Kushner and Ivanka and all of these people and the oil lobby, all these people. They're my oil advisors. They're my this advisors. So you don't have to give away all of your strategy, but you know that that's coming. So what do you do knowing that they're going to be doing that and engage in this brazen cover up and try to just drag it out for the next 2 years?
So I want to go back to one thing you said to answer that question, which is just so important. Like I think all of the kind of Meidas, all the folks that follow Meidas and your network and folks need to understand this one thing, which I think is flying under the radar and it's not enough getting attention in the kind of legacy media. What Todd Blanche just did with that memo, to be very clear, is he's creating space for there to be massive cover-ups and corruption by expanding executive privilege. He's basically said we are going to expand the definition of executive privilege. And so folks understand for a long time, Democrats and Republicans, both presidents and both parties, have used privilege in a way that's been appropriate. Oftentimes it could be national security, it could be information that's highly sensitive to the White House or the Oval Office, and in some cases, obviously, the courts can engage to get information or to put it out. But almost always, that executive privilege is used very sparingly and appropriately. What Todd Blanche is saying is that not only are we going to have executive privilege between a president and other White House staff, which has been the case for a long time. Basically, anyone the president says is an advisor, whatever that means. And it could be not just family. I mean, it could be anyone involved in the Epstein files that he views as an advisor. It could be friends that he's getting advice from. It could be basically anyone the president has spoken with or talked to or communicated with, or folks on behalf of the president, possibly. All of that now would be hidden from the public. And so essentially, they're trying to stop any information from any investigation for us in Congress or the American people to have access to. And how that actually translates on the ground is in this Epstein investigation, what Todd Blanche is saying is that actually, oh wait, there might be 3 million more documents that we haven't released to the public. But what I'm saying now is retroactively, any communication that this president may have had to direct a cover up or direct this or have conversations or who knows what was happening in the Situation Room with J.D. Vance and Susie Wiles and Todd Blanche, it's all possibly now privilege. And that is incredibly dangerous for the country. Now, I do not think this is going to stand up in court, and there's allies, and we have a system of folks that this is going to get challenged in the courts, but it's really quite concerning. People need to understand that.
Talk to us about Trump family members being subpoenaed before the House Oversight Committee when you take over. Don Jr., Ivanka, Eric, even Barron, Congresswoman Ansari was telling us, because his affiliation with the Tate brothers, apparently it's being reported he's been involved in this crypto stuff and, as well. Talk to us about what we should know there.
Look, we have to speak to the Trump family. And the reality is there's been precedent set by Republicans. I mean, the way they went after, Hunter Biden was in front of the Oversight Committee. They've had Bill and Hillary Clinton, former presidents and first ladies. The precedent is set. And so we will be issuing subpoenas for all of the corruption and grift that has happened, trying to buy private islands and property, investment funds from the Saudis and other countries and those billionaires that are out there that are giving God knows what to these investment funds that are going to the Kushners or to these real estate deals that Eric Trump and Don Jr. are getting from the Trump organization. You think about the crypto scheme that you just mentioned. How about the fact that Donald Trump is $2 billion wealthier just in the last couple of years? So the grift, the selling of pardons, the sitting on boards that then get contracts out of the Pentagon. that all has to get investigated. And we're going to be doing that at oversight. We're going to be issuing those subpoenas, including to any family members that we believe have information. And we're going to be in a fight with them in the courts on ensuring that people testify. And when they try to use executive privilege or plead the fifth, there are now going to be options available to us, whether it's contempt charges, whether it's going through the courts. Remember that when you're in the minority, you actually don't have the power to sue on behalf of the House directly. But when you're in the majority, you can actually take certain things to the courts, and we intend to do that.
Right. So we could be seeing cases of the House of Representatives versus Don Jr., versus Barron, versus Eric, versus Ivanka, versus Kushner, versus Witkoff. I mean, for first off, let me just stop there before I jumble thoughts. You're prepared for all of those types of lawsuits when they obstruct.
We're prepared for a complete and total back and forth with the administration, and we're going all in to take them on aggressively. Look, we're going to give them the chance to come forward on their own, but if not, we're going to do whatever it takes, use every single power that we have, the courts, the Congress, contempt, to ensure that they answer questions on behalf of the American public. This is the single largest, most evidence of corruption that we have seen in American history. The corruption is happening every single day. People are always talking about, we should impeach Donald Trump. I mean, he does an impeachable offense a week. The families involved are all getting infinitely wealthier as the price of gas, rent, groceries all goes up. People are actually struggling while the Trumps are getting billions of dollars richer. It's outrageous, and people need to be more engaged and upset. And that's where we come in, is to ensure that we hold them all accountable.
21,000 stock trades that we know about in 2025, all of the crypto schemes, how do you there's so much there. $435 million went to ICE jets that never took off the tarmac. $530 million went to General Dynamics, for purported Ukrainian weapons that never got used, and the factory became a dumpster fire. Data centers getting no bid contracts and free electricity. How do you, there's a lot, and there's only a certain amount of days, and hours in a day. So with all of these things happening, and then there is the accountability piece, there is the impeachment piece, where if this guy which we know is doing an impeachable offense every day, what we talked about in the first term, the Ukraine call, looks like what happens every day before I wake up at 6 a.m., frankly. So how do you deal with all of that? How do you process it? How do you plan it? What should we be thinking about in terms of the strategy? You don't just go to the end zone right away when football. You gotta put the people in place and play the various downs. How do we think about this? How do we conceive of it?
So there's an enormous amount of planning that's going on right now. Obviously, I'm so grateful to someone that's not just has been a mentor of mine when he led the oversight committee and I was a freshman. But also having Jamie Raskin as a partner on the Judiciary Committee. And the two of us are going to be just knee deep in all of these investigations. And I think you're going to see the most out of our two committees when it comes to this corruption piece that is all across the government. And that's another reason why, with the two of us working, why it's so important to win the Senate. Because as you know, if we win the Senate and Democrats actually flip both houses, then we control the oversight and investigations committees in the actual Senate. So it would double our capacity. There's so much to investigate that ensuring that folks like Richard Blumenthal in the U.S. Senate, that other folks like Senator Hassan and others have the ability to investigate is going to be critical. And that is going to be, for us, just a force multiplier, having more committees, more DEMS, and really a larger opportunity for us to go after all the different crimes.
Before we go, just want to ask you, let me tell you from my perspective, it's been such a game changer to see somebody like you be the ranking member, and how you've led a team of also incredible new generation people. I won't even want to say Democrats, just people who want accountability. That's kind of what I've seen, and it's been refreshing. I just wonder, from your perspective, have there been any surprises? The brazenness to which the James Comers are willing to cover up child sex trafficking rings? Like I just think from was there anything that you're like, whoa, like that's some really wild shit. Like I didn't even think that it could be that. I'm just, I don't want to put words in your mouth. From your perspective.
It's been really just shocking in the last few months how the Republicans have essentially decided to not hold hearings anymore. We used to have hearings regularly in oversight. And then a year ago when we took over the leadership and began getting real success, I mean, forcing subpoena votes, forcing documents, getting the Epstein Files Transparency Act out, which of course, Ro Khanna from our committee did a great job with Tom Massey on, and getting folks out there and just being aggressive, whether it's Yasmin Ansari, whether it's Jasmine Crockett, whether it's Max Frost and Melanie Stansbury, people have been out there, I think, really telling the story of what the Republicans and Donald Trump are doing with this cover-up over the Epstein investigation, that a few months ago, James Comer decided, I'm just not going to hold hearings anymore because we have been so successful at these hearings. And so that has been wild to me, that they have basically held up the surrender flag and decided not to hold hearings anymore. And so instead, we've been holding these kind of field hearings across the country with the Senate just to continue to bring light to these topics and bring in witnesses. We're doing one in Las Vegas here in just a couple of weeks that's going to focus on affordability and kind of the Trump family grift. And so we're going to continue doing that until we flip the House and Senate and actually hold these guys accountable.
Thanks so much, Congressman Garcia. Appreciate your work. I remember reporting on the fact that they weren't going to hold hearings, and my audience thought I was being hyperbolic. They're like, what do you mean they're not? I go, they're not doing hearings anymore. They're like, come on, stop. No, they were not doing hearings. Anyway, thank you for your hard work in doing the oversight while the MAGA Republicans have refused to do hearings and not do their job. Oversight, it should be a bipartisan thing. We want answers. We want accountability. And I think you talk about the stakes very well, in this midterms, both in the House and the Senate, setting aside your political ideology. If you just want the truth, you want to know what the hell is happening to this country. Right. I mean, accountability is a necessary ingredient. Thanks for all you do, Congressman.
Thank you.
Everybody hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers.
Before you go, our book, WTF America, is available for pre-order now. It's the story of how we got here and how we fight our way back. To pre-order, scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Let's do this.